the Xillia series. So one of the main kind of concepts from Xillia 1 was kind of the concept of teamwork. So what they had added that was new to the battle system was basically being able to link with another party member in your party, and then you would fight kind of together as a unit with that, other team member. So depending on which character you linked with, they might either heal you when you like fall over. They might go around and flank the enemy from behind. You'll kind of combo them, like hitting them from behind and from the front, to allow you to do more damage and stuns and longer combos, things like that. For Xillia 2, they liked a lot of the concepts that they used for Xillia 1, so all of that comes back for Xillia 2. So the linked art system, being able to do all of that stuff. All of that stuff returns in Xillia 2. But the main core concept for Xillia 2 is the concept of choice. So throughout the game, players are going to get these two choices that will pop up, and basically the player can make the choice of what they believe that Luger, the main character, should do in that situation. So depending on the choices you make, it will affect and it'll change the cutscene that happens right afterwards. But then also it may affect the story and the endings a bit, and then also it'll affect your affinity with certain party members depending on what you've chosen. So battle system, of course, it stays the same. Real-time battle system, very similar. What's new for Luger is he has this weapon swap ability. So in the middle of battle, which I can show you in a second here, in the middle of battle, Luger is able to swap between 3 different weapons. So he starts with the dual blades. You can switch to a sledgehammer, and then you can also switch to his dual pistols. So he basically has kind of 3 different weapon stances. You can kind of think of it as kind of a short range, a mid-range, and a long-range attack. And then he also will gain completely different art attacks for each weapon that he's using. Luger can also transform in the middle of battle. It's called his chromatis ability. You'll kind of learn in the story of why he can do that and what that is. But that's kind of like your over limit, where he transforms for a short amount of time. He's super strong, really long combos, and then the player has to decide, when's the best time to use that, because obviously you can't do it that often in the game. And then so you can see like this kind of line that is between me and the other characters. That's who I'm deciding to link to. So whoever I'm linked to will fight together as one unit, basically. So like Leia, she'll go and try and attack him from behind when I'm attacking that enemy. All right. And then the main story for Xillia 2, it follows these 2 characters. So Luger is the main character in Xillia 2. It also, there's Elle, who's like the little girl, and she kind of pops up. She doesn't join your party as far as fighting in battle with you, but she's always with you, basically. And it follows these 2 characters. Essentially, at the beginning of the story, Elle is traveling with her father. They're attacked by these kind of mysterious assailants, and her father tells her, like, hey, Elle, go hide on the ship, hide there. You need to get to the land of Canaan, and if you get there, everything will be fine. And then as they get attacked, Elle sees her father get gunned down, and then the ship goes off. So she ends up by herself, and they end up going to Triglav, or she ends up going to Triglav, which is kind of the capital of the kingdom of Olympios. And she goes to the train station because she doesn't know where this place is, how to get there, but she does know that trains take you to far off places. So she goes to the train station. She does end up meeting Luger, and then they go through kind of a little adventure themselves there, but or an incident, I guess, is a more proper way to say that. But then Luger does decide to help Elle on her journey to find this land of Canaan and go through that. That's kind of the main core, very top line story. Luger himself, he wants to become an agent for the Spurious Corporation. So the Spurious Corporation in Olympios, they are the corporation that basically handles all of the technology research. So they do all the research of technology. They found ways to monetize that, so whether it's using technology for everyday life, for everybody, using it for weapons and defense. So they're kind of the big corporation behind all of that. Luger's brother is an agent for this corporation, and so Luger wants to follow in his brother's footsteps. And so he was training to become an agent. He ends up not passing his test on the first try. So he's working his way to try and become an agent for this corporation. And then at this point in the demo, at this point in the game, it is farther along in the game. Luger is essentially Luger and his friends. They are hired to go to these other dimensions called shattered dimensions, and they are tasked with destroying these other dimensions because they are. The corporation believes that they are basically sucking energy away from their dimension, and in order to preserve their dimension, they need to get rid of these alternate dimensions. So at this point, Luger and his friends, they're looking for the anomaly that's different in this dimension versus their own, and if they destroy it, then they'll destroy this dimension, and then they will basically allow their dimension to exist longer.
So what continuity does this take place in the Tales universe?
So this Tales of Xillia 2 takes place 1 year after the events of Tales of Xillia, the first game.
Just the first game?
Just the first game. And essentially, now here's a spoiler alert here. So towards the end of Tales of Xillia, basically there was a barrier that was keeping the world of Res Maxia, where the main area where Xillia 1 took place, in Olympios, there was a barrier, and that was destroyed towards the end of Xillia 1. So now it's a year later, and the two populaces are figuring out how to coexist with each other, because the way that they have advanced in technology was completely different between the two. So, and in Res Maxia, they are able to harness mana, and so they use spirit and nature to be able to use that for power. So that's how they've advanced. But in Olympios, the people from Olympios aren't able to access that mana. So they use this spyrite technology, which is very much closer to like electricity, that kind of energy, but that sucks the mana away from the world. So the way that one group of people is used to existing basically is the opposite of the other, and so they are learning how to coexist with each other.
Can you talk a little bit about the power-up that the main character has, like his transformation?
Yeah, so try to do this without too many spoilers.
Okay.
But basically, Luger, so he is able, in the middle of battle, he's able to transform. It's called the chromatus ability. So you do that, and you're able to transform, and at this point, he's like super powerful. Tons of combos, combinations, but you can only transform for a short amount of time, and also you can only do it so often, so you need to decide, when is the right time that I need to use it. So is it for bosses only, so when I know I'm going to need to win, or is it, do you wait until you're almost going to be defeated and then you can transform there? And as Luger goes through the story, he learns how to harness this ability, and he becomes stronger, and so his transformation will basically become stronger as he goes through his adventure.
So, are there any returning characters from the previous game other than the main and one of the other ones you mentioned, or is it all new cast?
So the two main characters for Xillia 2, they are brand new characters, Luger and L. All of the 6 main characters in your party from Xillia 1, they all return. And so they're intertwined in the story. And then also 2 of the kind of the boss characters from Xillia 1.
So the antagonists?
The antagonists, they appear as well. So you're able to basically have all 8 of those characters join your party at some point. And if you did play the first game and you really want to kind of find out what what's happened to your favorite characters in the first game, there are special character chapters in the game where you're able to basically go on almost a full-length kind of mini adventure focused on each of those characters. And so you can find out, if you really like Jude and Mila were the main characters from Xillia 1, you really want to find out what's happened to them, you can play through the Jude chapters and the Mila chapters and find out kind of what's happened to them between the last game to this game, what they're doing right now, and then also kind of a whole kind of little adventure based on their experience of what's happening to them in the current time right now. And so, but those are also optional. So at certain points in the game, your characters in your party will kind of split up from you and they'll kind of do their own thing in the towns. So you can basically go up to them if you've already accessed this part of if you're this far into the story, talk to them, and then you can decide if you want to take on one of their chapters. Or if you didn't play the first game or you're really engrossed in the main story, at that moment, you can just keep playing through the main story at that point too. So you really kind of can choose if you want to break up the main story by going through some of the other characters, if you want to wait and maybe at the end do all the character chapters, or if you don't even want to do them at all, you just want to go through the main story, you have your choice of how you want to play that game.
Okay, now tell us a little bit about the character you selected.
So the character selected there is Mise. So Mise is what they call it is the sister of Mila, who was one of the main characters in Xillia 1. And Mise she is a spirit. So she's a little different than the other main characters. In the first game, she was, thinking spoilers now. There are too many spoilers. Too much detail in spoilers.
It's always hard to talk about a sequel when you're,
Yeah, and when you go into too much detail. But she is one of the antagonists from the first game. And so at this point in the game, and actually from the very beginning of the game, Mila is missing. And so Mise actually, she first shows up and she's looking for Mila. So that's kind of when she kind of first pops up. And then you do find Mila and you find out what's been happening with her as you go through the game. But so for the demo that we have here, you can just basically choose. You can choose if you want to have Gaius or Mise join your party, or there's another version of the demo we have where you basically choose Jude or Mila if they want to join your party. You're not going to get that kind of choice in the main game, so that was done just for the demo.
So how many hours to complete this game?
So the main story, if you go through the main story, you're looking at somewhere in that range of 30 to 50 hours for the main story. The character chapters, if you play through those for all the 6 returning characters, those are anywhere from 12 to 20 hours. And then obviously if you do the side, a bunch of the side missions and all the other things, then you're easily over 100 hours going through the main story, all the character missions, and then some of the side stuff.
All right, one last question. When does the game drop?
Yeah, so the game comes out August 19th, so it's just right around the corner, and it's exclusively on PlayStation 3.
All right, thank you very much for your time and showing us Tales of Xillia 2.
Great, thanks a lot.